Hello folks, the Y Guy here again. Welcome to my home on this very beautiful spring afternoon. The name of this video is called The Y Guy Meat for the Wolves. Maybe I should have said raw meat for the wolves. Yeah, because here's some more raw meat that I want to offer on this video for the wolves to tear apart, if you so choose to be a wolf, that is. You know, I understand that a lot of my devil-believing friends on YouTube, they may not agree with these answers that I'm about to give, that I gave to someone else. Anyway, I'd like to share them with you. And like most people who don't read other people's comments, you know, here's my answer for this. I already gave this answer to these individuals, these two individuals, but I want to offer them to the rest of my YouTube subscribers, okay? So I did this video a few videos back called the Y Guy Devil Finale. And a subscriber asked, quote, "So is there an angelic realm? Do they exist as spirits among us in a fallen state? Do they comprise a parallel story like our own, being created before us and destined also for eventual reconciliation?" Close quote. Now, those are awesome questions. They really are. And I thank this person for asking that. And they did so politely. It was so awesome. Anyway, so the problem I have, and this is my answer to everyone else, okay, about these kind of things that I want to address. What is fallen state? That is a major issue. That is a major problem that has to be understood. You know, it cannot be assumed. You just can't just go along with Christian theology of what fallen means. Fallen what? We've only fallen up here, folks. Christ was slain before the foundation of the earth. According to God's perspective, everything was taken care of before anyone fell. Do you understand? Before the foundation of the earth was before Adam and Eve ever did their thing. All right, we've got to look at it more that way, because what is fallen is our corrupted minds that have fallen, okay? And I don't want to chase that rabbit right at this point, but the point is that fallen state and the assumption that a third of the stars that fell from heaven is talking about angels, both of those concepts are doctrines of men, based on pure conjecture and assumption, speculation, all the above. And I'm going to offer some of my own speculation here as well, okay? So, the Latin word angel, or its Greek equivalent, messenger, can be found, anyway, those two words, either messenger, well, no, angel, I should say, can't be found anywhere in context in Revelations 12, chapter 12, verses 14 and verses 18. Those are the verses that Christendom uses to claim that a third of the angels fell from heaven. That's what I cut my teeth on, so those are the passages. So knowing that the word angel was never even mentioned anywhere in context, knowing this, along with common sense, should tell the person that they should question what they've been taught about it. Shouldn't they? It makes sense to me. Yes, I believe that there's an angelic realm dimension, but to assume that a third of them fell, then later jump to a conclusion, all based on an obscure passage, obscure passages, and a heavily metaphoric, disputed, frankly, book of Revelation. That's just not wisdom, folks. It's not wise to jump to a conclusion based on that criteria. So here's a question. I like my what ifs. What if a third of the angels, what if no angels ever fell? That's the best way to put it. What if that never happened, as we've been taught? That's not a stretch, folks. What is believed about that is pure conjecture and assumption. And yet we all grew up with it. Oh, those of us who've had Bibles or gone to church and those kind of things. So let me offer another what if to think about. Since the temple was considered heaven and or heavenly realm in the minds of the ancient Jew, then why couldn't these same passages that have been applied to supposed angels, why couldn't they represent a third of the Sanhedrin, the temple workers? And that fell. See, there's that word fell. That fell from their heavenly position due to being murdered. Okay? In the fall, there's another form of fell. In the fall of Jerusalem in 70 AD. Why couldn't it be that? What if? Okay? I'm not saying that this is what these passages mean. I'm really not saying that. And I know this is speculation on my part, but consider how governments, both past and present, read your history. They like to cover up their misdeeds. They just do. So here's another what if. What if 26 years later, after this incident in Jerusalem, while John was in prison at Patmos, to keep himself from being even further tormented and tortured, he was tortured horribly at that facility. Was he forced in writing his letters? Was in writing the book of Revelation? Was he forced to use symbolism to share with the world about the atrocities of what happened in Jerusalem? Is that even a slightest possibility? Is that why most of the passages in the book of Revelation are so obscure? Because he had to kind of keep it secret from those who were reading over his shoulder, I should say the government workers, that housed him? Okay? A person can choose to believe a doctrine of men that pushes a spiritual definition, as in a third of the angels, pushes a third of it in these passages, based on conjecture and assumption, or choose to apply a practical common sense approach, considering how it was the Roman government that imprisoned John, who also just so happened to be the same government that did this horrible deed of massacring approximately 1.1 million people residing in Jerusalem in 70 AD. Men, women, and children, folks. Okay? I don't know for sure. I wasn't there. Okay? However, it's my strong opinion, it's far more reasonable to utilize what John wrote and apply it to what really happened in history than to assume it's all about an invisible spiritual enemy, especially since that supposed enemy wasn't specifically identified in the passage in question. Now, where is my logic flawed? Now, let me digress. I'm about halfway through this video. Let me digress, because I know what some might be thinking about, other passages and stuff. Somebody might be thinking, what about where it says in Matthew 25:41, where Jesus is speaking, "Depart from me, accursed ones." I got to be melodramatic here, okay? "Depart from me, accursed ones, into the eternal fire, which has been prepared for the devil and his angels." Blah. Close quote. And no, Jesus didn't go blah. Anyway, folks, I literally hate Latin-based Bibles, and this passage is a perfect example of why I hate them so much. In the Koine Greek New Testament, it doesn't even come close to saying this crap that I just quoted you. Not even close. And yet 99% of your Bibles say this stuff. Get this, folks. Jesus never said depart. And yet the very first word in the verse in Matthew 25:41 is, "Depart from me." He never said that. No one is accursed, even though the Latin-based verse says accursed ones. Isn't that interesting? A specific place isn't even mentioned. And yet Christendom believes, well, there had to have been a place that had been prepared. Well, no, the Bible says eternal fire has been prepared. Well, that eternal fire can only be in hell, right? So that's a place, right? You see all the conjecture that's going on here in Jump? But it doesn't even a place was never even mentioned in the Greek rendering, okay? What else? The word eternal isn't mentioned at all. So much for eternal fire, huh? Okay. What else? Devil or his angels, the most important part, and yet the verse ends with the devil and his angels. And yet, neither one of those are mentioned in the Koine Greek. Are you following me? Okay, this is what it says, quote, in Koine Greek. "At that point, he will also say to those at the places on his left, 'You folks, having been brought under the curse, continue proceeding on your way, away from me into the Aeonian fire, the one having been prepared and made ready for the person.'" Spell person, P-E-R-S-O-N. Not D-E-V-I-L. "For the person who thrusts something through folks, an adversary, one who casts something through the mist and causes division, as well as for his angels, messengers," in parentheses. Not his angels, his agents. Because angel wasn't even in the verse. I'm sorry about that. Anyway, so let me explain what this verse is actually saying. The law is the curse, and the people Jesus was talking to was under the law. Get it? So Jesus was telling people that if they keep going towards the law, away from him, but towards the law, okay, then a time of a fire, a metaphoric purifying process, okay, which is another term for the lake of fire. It's a process in God's presence. Anyway, we all go through that fire inside of us, okay? That's what I'm saying, that when God, Spirit of God convicts us, that's fire, folks. Okay, we're all going to go through that continually. Anyway, it's being prepared for any person, not devil, any person, along with his or her messengers who happen to cause division. That's simply all this verse is saying. Jesus wasn't pushing anyone away, but instead this verse is using hyperbolic language to describe how people were choosing to walk away from him towards the law. Get it? Depart from me? Hardly. What an ancient Latin crock of crap, folks. Geez, why, guy, tell us how you really think. Anyway, somebody else asked in closing this video, someone else asked, doesn't Satan roam the earth? Because in the same video, I asked, where does the devil hang out if hell doesn't exist? So this guy was trying to answer it. So the question was, if he, answer to that question, if the devil does roam the earth, okay, then please supply a Bible reference to explain what his purpose for doing so. What is that purpose? Somebody say, well, this is probably referring to that passage talking about he roams the earth like a roaring lion, seeking who he can devour. What's the purpose for being devoured? What does that mean? You see, I did a video already. Just find the one where the white guy, and I mentioned something about exposes the lion. Somewhere in the title it says the white guy and it has the word lion in it. You can find it. It explains who that lion is, and it is no devil, okay? But that's, I think, is what this person was referring to, roaming, because that's the only verse I know about where it's talking about a lion who roams the earth. Okay, so follow me on that. So, anyway, since there is no Bible passage whatsoever that explains the purpose, and if you're going to use the purpose of devour, then you got to explain what devour means. Okay, there's just too many holes. I can walk through those holes. So the question is, does Satan roam the earth? Satan with a capital S? Yes and no. Oh, that's the last thing you guys expected to hear, right? A devil, aka Satan with a capital S, does not roam anything other than in the carnal mind, okay? The carnal imaginations of pagan-minded religious man. You know, most won't agree because they base their belief of a roaming Satan on numerous misunderstood or perverted Bible passages. However, Satan with the small s, aka, or I should say, Ha-Satan, H-A-S-A-T-A-N in Hebrew, most certainly roams the earth. In all of us, whenever we are adversarial to God's will. So yes, Satan is alive and well as long as we are alive and well. Are you getting it? Okay. Mankind is Satan because we're the ones who are accusers. We're the ones who point a finger at each other, causing hurt feelings. Okay? To one degree. And cause war and suffering when done to the extreme degree. Mankind is the adversary. Mankind is adverse to the will of God. It's not rocket science, but religion, especially Christian religion, wants us to believe in an invisible enemy instead of owning our corruption and taking responsibility to seek God, instead of seeking some stinking excuse or a scapegoat for our corruption. The corruption of our mind, okay? So yes, in closing, yes, Satan roams the earth big time. I know it's hard, but you've got to let go of the paganism that is dominating the Christian religion if you happen to believe this other stuff. And like I said, I knew most people, the wolves especially, might want to tear this apart, and that's okay. Be polite about it when you do, when you leave comments in the Show Me More section, or in the comment section, I should say. In the Show Me More section, I am going to leave links to my, where you can get my 3 books from Amazon, as well as Patreon and Coffee, if you'd like to support this channel that way. I'm also going to leave a link to my website as well. Alrighty, so look me up on Facebook if you so choose. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so, and please consider giving me a thumbs up or a thumbs down on this. Very few people do. I have a lot of people watching the video, and very few of you guys remember to click. It's just a quick little click. It doesn't hurt your wrist, does it? Anyway, thanks for viewing.